Bobbi, thank you for joining us today. Carson as well. Bobbi, the last 6-7 weeks have been really tough for you. What's the outpouring support been like from the racing community? You've got to be overwhelmed by it.
Yeah, I guess my whole deal is I'm so thankful. I'm more of a giver than a taker. Even like when people have been trying to give me donations out at the t-shirt trailer, I tell them unless they have a good cause that I can put it to, I don't want to be just that taker. I've always given, like every foundation, everything in my life, I've always given. I'll give you the shirt off my back, the last dollar, and stuff like that to make it a go. So one of the guys is like, well, take my 100, and then I said, well, what's it for? What are we gonna do with this 100? He said, we'll give the next 5 kids that come up a t-shirt. And like that day, I like 2 little kids while I was selling t-shirts, I did, because I took the money and stuff like that. And then Carson ended up winning that night, and there's a family that had 3 little kids that they're like, oh, we need to get t-shirts. Do you have any kid t-shirts? I had just a few in the trailer itself, and told them come in. You know, little kids light up when you bring them in the trailer. A lot of people say it's liability and this and that. You got to stay out, can't get in the car. Well, if we don't have these little fans to come up in this world, man, it's like, what's it gonna be? We won't have them, you know, these little kids like Carson. So anyways, it lit up these little kids' eyes, and then the parents tried to pay, and I'm like, no, somebody already took care of that. It was a pay it forward. But yeah, coming back to the whole, it's been a lot of up and down. I call it a roller coaster, but when I go out there, it's like so exciting to see all the outpour of the support in the racing community, from Walmart cars to stock cars to this kind of car to NASCAR to, it's unreal. Like Kyle Larson, I guess their graphic team actually cut Jax the piece off that they covered up Kyle Larson on that Chicagoland deal and sent it in a box and put a letter with it and stuff. And that guy said he was a Jason Johnson fan, and it says, it's hanging in Jax's little bedroom, and it says Forever 41, with Kyle Larson. The whole team signed it. So can't describe it.
Has it been therapeutic for you?
That's why I guess the night of the memorial, people are like, what are you gonna do? And I'm like, I looked at the bank account with 19 rainouts. It's been a stressful year, but at the same point, I was like, I want to go to Knoxville. I knew there'd be naysayers and people saying I'm taking this money and doing that. That did not happen at all. I can assure you on that whole deal. Philip Dietz and I started putting some calls out there, talking. The Durst family was one of the first text messages that came on board because I am a grateful person in life. There was a Durst suit hanging there that I thought, Jason's gone. It's going to collect dust for me in this race shop. So when the Durst family came in and we first started our team and they were part of that deal, I offered their suit back. It hangs in the race rig right now for when Phil and Ryan show up. Their suit's going back to its home. So it's just a different deal for me, I guess, on most parts.
Now you guys decide to come back to Knoxville with Phil Dietz and you make that decision. Why Carson Macedo? He's 22. He's already got a ride with the All-Stars. What made you guys take Carson or go after Carson?
So I'm not gonna lie. So I'm sitting there thinking, the first thing, sit on the Memorial Day when I said I wanted to go, what's your next plan? What's your next step? Where do you want to go? I said to Knoxville. Well, who's available? Well, I don't know. Shit. I don't know. I'm sitting there in a spare bedroom with some sponsors and stuff like that from past and present, thinking who is available and stuff. And then at that point, the only one that I possibly knew was Christopher Bell, because we hung out for all the years in racing. We've always hung out at Brian and Stacy Kemenal's, and Jax went swimming with Christopher and just different stuff like that. In Fargo, North Dakota, his favorite food was Mexican, so we're eating at a Mexican place at 10 o'clock at night when they stripped out some lug nuts at the Schatz Crossroad deal. So Jason's like banging on the table, because it was a great race between Kyle Larson and Christopher, and I'm like, oh, well, maybe Christopher if he don't have anything going on. So then that went by, and I actually text Morgan, said, I don't know what Christopher got and stuff, I'm just being honest here.
It's all right.
On the whole deal. But yes, and then later that night, after Christopher's name come up, Jason Myers shows up all the way from California. He was the driver that while my husband's laying there, and I said to Jason, he's incoherent in the hospital and he broke his back. I said, who are we gonna put in the car? He goes, I don't know, like, you know, the pain medicines, and he wasn't really there. And I'm like, shit, what about Jason Myers? So he had Jason Myers' phone number, ring that dude. He says, yeah, I'll do it, you know. He helped me and my husband actually drive. He drove us up and down the West Coast for the end of the swing, and a few times he had to pull over because Jason's screaming in the back. Myers hit a bump or whatever, he needed a restroom, and he was in his back brace with a broken back. So I'm like, dude, we can't chance it on these windy roads out here, pull over. So he'd stop for a minute and ask me if I got him under control and all's good, and we'd take back off and go and stuff like that. So I guess the whole deal is, like, my Jason Johnson believed in Jason Myers. He wanted to be that lower buck team and be a Jason Myers. He has a winner's poster on the end of his desk in the shop. That's a championship. So every day he walked in that shop, he wanted to be a dude like that, you know. He wanted to have the business sense. And then Myers did open his home up to us out there. He opened his notebook up to us. He showed us a few things, a lot of things, like, I'll never forget, like different deals. He's like, you can't have that, but that's somewhere you might want to start, you know. So it was pretty awesome. Well, then in the midst of this, Philip Dietz believes 100% in Jason Myers because Jason Johnson believed that way, that he started speaking with him. And then all of a sudden, Carson Macedo comes into play. And then I'm like, they're like, do you know that kid? And I'm like, well, not all too much, but I do remember looking out at Matt Gambier, and I looked out there and I saw this little kid sitting beside my husband on the bank in front of the GT Bobcat suite and stuff over there. And I'm like, who's that kid? Who's that dude you're sitting there with? He's like, oh, that's that Carson kid. And anyways, we knew how it felt to be away from home. And he felt like he was a little homesick because you don't know, you're crashing a little bit and different. I mean, we experienced it all too over the time that we were married and being over there 13, 14 years. That he's like, this is a cool little kid, you know, like, you are a kid to us. I'm gonna be 40 next year and stuff like that. So he is only 22 and just different things like that. So it's, I guess, and then it must have been in the spring, Jason came back and we got rained out again out on the West Coast, and he must have said, I think you watched what, the Open Red?
Yeah.
Or something about Jason Johnson. And Jason come back that night, just, I don't even think we did bad or whatever, and he's laughing. I'm like, what the heck are you laughing about? Like, shit, you're bad out there. He said, this little kid said he wants to be the next Jason Johnson. And like, I started laughing. So then we started, like, I guess somewhat following Carson more so, you know. He'd tell me I'm barely a Facebook person. I'm not a Twitter, I'm not an Instagram, but all nights, you know, like going down the road, the late nights and stuff, the travel, when Jackson would go to sleep, we would travel through the night mainly. So in the morning, Jason could get his park situated with a t-shirt trailer, he could sleep in, Jackson and I could get out and leave him some quiet time. But he would tell me, well, this one's doing this one's doing that, up until just this past week. I was being like that Jason Johnson, watching Carson's results, he was leading the points, and I think you're only 8 points out on the All-Star thing, like, you know. Then I was being that positive person. He would write and text me how he did, or this broke, or whatever, you know, at Kings Royal, and tagged the motor, or not, you know, didn't tag a motor, but scared. Luckily, this kid has brains and shut the thing down. Like, as a car owner, I guess that's the things, like, my husband, we always came from lower teams that didn't have a lot of money, so you have to respect equipment. And that's what I feel this kid does. So I think he's an awesome fit. And if you don't see the results out here that we're having fun and he don't fit in this team, you're kidding yourself.
Carson, you get the call to do this. Let's face it, the racing community can be judgmental, can be tough. There's a lot of expectations. You have a lot of pressure on yourself. Were you apprehensive about taking this opportunity a little bit because of all the stuff that goes with it, and then getting in a car that Jason put?
Yeah, when Philip called me, you know, I was so thankful for the opportunity, you know, first of all, and for, you know, Jason Myers is somebody that I've really looked up to, and Jason Johnson, you know, obviously included in that. Like, for me, you know, growing up racing in this sport, it's so hard to be successful as a driver alone, but to be able to be a team owner and you know, juggle all those hats at once, and then try and win races and be competitive with guys like, you know, Donnie Schatz, Brad Sweet, all these guys, they show up and all their job is to just drive the car and try and win. And guys like Jason Johnson, Jason Myers were able to show up and and wear the owner hat, pay all the bills, do a lot of the jobs that a lot of the team members on those other teams are doing, and still win races. So to me, that's why what Bobby mentioned, myself coming up to Jason and saying that I wanted to be the next Jason Johnson. That that was why, because I looked up to that. I thought that was pretty cool that they could still have success and wear all those hats. So yeah, I mean, when I got the call from Philip, I was just so happy to be a part of the team. And I, like Bobby said, I hadn't officially like met them and spent time, but I did spend time with Jason in Australia. Like Bobby touched on, there's not a lot of Americans that go over there anymore. Back I guess 20 years ago or so, like you'd have 20 guys going over there and running the Classic, but I think myself, Jason, and Dominic Selzy were 3 only Americans there this past year. There might have been a couple more, but so for me, like, it was an opportunity to kind of get close to Jason and talk to him. I always looked up to him, and Jason Myers always had a lot of really good things to say about him. So I wanted to. You want to spend time, you want to talk to people at the racetrack, but when you're at the racetrack, you have to respect that people are there doing their job. Especially people like Jason that are there. He was making a living for his family, for Bobby and Jackson. You don't want to interrupt any of that. But yeah, when I got the call from Philip, I was just so thankful. Jason Myers kind of touched on with me a little bit that he had mentioned my name, and I thought, oh man, like, that's never gonna happen. That'd be cool, but I appreciate you throwing my name out there, and then to get a call from Philip and kind of validate that was just it's phenomenal for me. And I can't say enough how much fun I've had. The past weekend's been crazy for me. I was telling Philip last night, when he first called me, I thought, man, going to Knoxville, like, I didn't have many laps there, and I didn't know how it would go. I knew that the car would be fast, but I was hoping that the driver could keep up. So when I came here in the 3G car, I felt really good. I felt like I had speed, and then I just needed to clean up a few mistakes, and then if I cleaned up those mistakes, that I could probably be at the pointy end. And yeah, like, the 41 car makes it easy to do your job. It's always really good, and the race car has a really good balance all the time. So for me, it was easy. People I've mentioned came up to me and has it been tough acclimating to that car? And I'm like, heck no, that thing's like running iRacing. It's like just so stuck, and Philip does a really good job and super easy to work with, really relaxed guy. For me, racing with somebody that has a relaxed personality, that's not, doesn't get too excited, makes me a lot more calm and makes it a lot easier to do my job. So, to say that driving the 41 car, it's just been a really good experience. I'm having a blast and really looking forward to the next few nights too.
Carson, obviously the racing community can be tough, a lot of pressure, a lot of expectations. Coming in here, did you expect to do this well? And team chemistry is so important when it comes to sprint car racing. This team's gelled so well, and you've responded with first, second, and second. This couldn't have went any better.
Yeah, man, my race car's just been so good. Like, going into this, Philip, you can just see, when I walked up to the trailer that first day on Wednesday when they got here, you could just see the preparation and the showmanship and the pride that he has in his work. And, sitting down and he's going over some shocks on the dyno, and Philip, if anybody knows Philip, he's very methodical. He takes his time with every decision and works really hard to be the best, one of the best out there. So I could see the confidence in Philip right off the bat. He felt like he had a good package here. His balance is right where it needs to be, and I think that confidence made me confident. The biggest thing with teams, every team has a leader, and I think when Jason, that's what Jason did. He led the team. He was the leader. He was the one that he was their cheerleader, and told them, we can do this, and we're going to be fast night in and night out. And I think that Philip has done a really good job of taking over that hat, putting that hat on, and going into this weekend, like I said, like, he just had a whole lot of confidence in the race car and in Tyler and Patrick, and everybody does their job and does it well, and that's what it takes to be up front in these races. So to say that I thought I was going to come in and win the first night, and then
That's storybook material, huh?
Had the rubber not laid down, that second night, I think I would have had a pretty good shot to win again, and then last night, obviously Brad was really good, but before the red there, I kind of keep pace with him, and just, man, my race car's just been so good, and to say that I thought I was going to come in and do this well, I'd be lying, for sure. But I'm just so thankful that we do have this speed, and speed's really hard to come by in this sport. A lot of the times, you can spend all the money and put all the pieces together and still, struggle. So this team's doing a really good job, and obviously I'm so thankful for the opportunity that Bobbi and Philip gave me, and really happy to have speed like this. It's been really fun, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the week. I mean, when your race car's fast, everybody's having fun, and that's what we came here to do. We came here to have fun, and it's been a really good time so far.
Now, Bobbi, this place is kind of special to you. We talk about the 2016 Knoxville Nationals and winning that, but this is where Jason proposed to you as well. So coming back here, what's this last 5 days been like? It has to be a whirlwind for you.
So we left the shop on that Wednesday. Philip was late, like always. I wanted to fire him before we even left the shop. But as we rolled the roads, we talked about old times and history coming to Knoxville, and Philip's like, oh my goodness, Bobbi. We got to Oskaloosa, and it was like a little bit of drama with the travel trailer, where we're gonna park, where our parking spots are. I mean, you think after a long time of 15 years of having an RV and you're in dang near the same spot every year, you would know your numbers at Knoxville, but I didn't know. I'm like, it's not that big of a deal. We'll just call the camping director and this and that. And then we rolled up outside of Oski, and then it was like, damn, this shit's real. Like, we made it to Knoxville. Like, we're within 20 minutes of Knoxville, and just the emotion started coming through. We were on the Jax was actually on FaceTime with the Sage family. That's huge supporters, but more than just supporters, they're like our second family. Like, from John being a business person to a different side of business and stuff like that, just to keep us calm, talk, and they're like laughing and joking and cutting up. And then we pull off, and like out here at the exit, it's not only Jax's number 5, because Jason always told him 4 + 1 = 5, or Philip's number 14, which is 1 + 4 = 5. So I think that's how Jax is always about, this midget driver. And even the other night, he's like, he's gonna be a midget driver and he's gonna win his daddy a race. And it's like, oh Jesus, sprint cars are bad enough, now a midget? Shit. But anyways, so we pull up to this exit, and on the exit number, I guess when you lose somebody in a race car, the number means a lot. The number constantly comes about and stuff. For the longest time, until this past winter, I carried a necklace around my neck of a little teeny charm that was number 92 from Kevin Gobrecht. The exit out here is number 92. Almost everyone that I met back in the day, from working in my t-shirt trailer, helping me out at this time of need, just like they helped me out with the Kevin Gobrecht days and stuff, all those people are back out here again. Johnny Gibson, that was the announcer that asked, put the microphone in front of my husband's face that night on that Wednesday night, that preliminary thing, and asked, Jason Johnson wants to ask you something. Will you marry him? And I took off running. I was so damn embarrassed. I'm not a crowd person. I'm a one-on-one person. I hate the limelight, I guess you could say, and stuff like that. So it was like all these different things, and then Philip's like, you do know we are rolling to Knoxville with a guy that's never been here, and Jason ended up passing away on his birthday. So that kid has to be brokenhearted. You know what I mean? He just turned 19. He was an 18-year-old kid turning 19. And then you got another one that races himself, but only like locally and stuff, and has sat in the stands and never prepared a car for the 410 National. It's just, he's like, oh, I'm like, breathe, Phil, breathe. It's all right. We got the dream team. Let's just make that our focus, our goal. Let's make that our main deal. But even when I talked to Carson and Natalie, I said, we always had a motto. It was kind of like a quiet motto, not something that you're super proud of, but like, a stress reliever, anti-venom stress, over in Australia they call it all the time. But anyways, it's win or lose, we drink booze. Like, not saying you gotta get drunk, But you know, you can have a quiet one and hang out at the trailer, and that's what the boys did last night. They made sure one of the guys didn't take a sip, drove the truck and trailer out there, but the other ones had that's when you talk about, you let your hair down, talk about what went on, what can we fix, what we need to do. But it takes the tension off. It makes it fun. You know, we've raced for some people that no alcohol in the trailer, can't do this, can't do that. And Ozzy gets involved, and he's like, the first thing that needed to go in that trailer was an esky, you know, a plug-in one. We need cold beer in this thing, you know. Alan Haynes was all about that, you know, and that was just our motto from that day, that he believed in us to start our own team, was that slogan, you know. No matter how bad the thing is, if you walk away that night, no matter if you crash it on the first lap or it only has one night on it, which my husband would get the bitching session down the road of, oh my God, do you know how much that stuff cost, and da da da. And he's like, at least I walked away from it, right? Yep, you're right. Shut up, Bobby. You know, and we continue and stuff like that. So just coming to this place, you can't, I mean, he's ended up in the hospital a few times or whatever down here. Lost a great friend, a farming buddy, Steve King over here. Have always been in contact with that family prior to till now, and now they're wanting to do a cornhole tournament for me. So there's so many highs and lows in this racing deal. But like coming into Knoxville, it didn't, like, Carson could have put her in like Jamie Ball's crash the other night, you know, could have been like that, and I wouldn't give a shit right now. I had a sponsor say, you do know, like, the caliber of cars your husband built has money, you can sell that, or you can bring it in on a bucket. As long as our driver's okay, I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Like, that's it's just, I just want to have fun, and as long as our driver's good, that's all that matters in this whole thing, you know, because it's just such a high and low sport. There's so many highs and so many lows when it comes to it, but I love the sport, so I can't fault it.
One of the highs was him winning the other night. What was that like for you? And for Jax.
Jax is a happy guy and big
So I get a text message early on in the night before. I didn't even know what we drew. I had it right later through the night. I'm like, the heck nice. People told me what we drew or nothing. I'm sitting out here selling t-shirts and I don't even know where the hell we are, to time trial or anything. So I write Natalie and I write Brady. I ask, where are we at? 6 cars to go. So I get on, you know, like, I watched a few at the start on Race Monitor. Got on and started watching that. But prior to that, Ricky Stenhouse had wrote, you know, and stuff like that. He's like, ooh, it's a mixed bag. I don't know what I'm feeling right now. You know, like, it was anxiety and everything all in one and stuff. And he said, oh, and he gave me a monkey face. What, like the night you put me in the car and I crashed at Eagle, Nebraska with a brand new car and, you know, it's junk and we got to fix it. It'll be all right. So I'm like, you know what? It will. So then from that time, I guess I kind of changed my focus and my mentality that, okay, so I'm like, okay, dude, come on. It's all about time trialing. It's definitely about time trialing this joint. Sometimes it don't matter. This place, it really matters. So I sat there at the back door where I usually sat, you know, watching Jason and stuff and just trying to get my thoughts together and stuff. And then I found myself, like, banging on my leg, like, come on, you know, like, go. And then time trials were over and he was like, I think he ended up 12th quick that night. I'm like, okay. You know, then they told me the inversion was 30. I didn't even know what the heck the whole scenario was, you know, my points thing for Knoxville. And I mean, Jason was the one that told me, oh, we just got to make, like he would have said before he left for the day, we got to make the top 30. As long as we're in the top 30, we can dig ourselves out, you know, and we're gonna be on the front row. You know, he'd tell me the whole scenario. Did I really care? No, not really, but he cared because he's the driver. He knew where he needed to be, you know, and stuff. But then the heat race come up and I had a gentleman hollering at me to come at the back door, and I didn't mean to be rude. I'm like, I'm not being rude, but I'm watching this driver on this iPad on Race Monitor. I'm not inside. Like, you can wait a minute. And he's like, you can wait a minute. Like, it's not that damn important, you know? So I sat there and watched, and find myself hitting my leg even more and go, come on, holy, you know? And hell, he got up into the second spot. I'm like, shit, yeah, here we go. He's setting himself up for a great night. And then after that, it's like, girls, you can stay open or you can close. I'm going watch it over in the Hall of Fame. So they're like, you just go. And I took off, I think it's about B main time or whatever. I came over, they kept notifying me like what was going on and stuff, and got some stuff pulled in and closed up shop, come over. And then, like, I don't know, used to always say it ain't over till the fat lady sings. I even said it that night Jason won the Knoxville Nationals. They're all like, oh, he got it in the bag. He don't have it in the bag. I watched Kevin Gobrecht come off. Randy Hannigan blocked him. He was running second. Joey Saldana passed him. He ended up third. You know what I mean? Like, coming off that turnover there. 4, you know, like, people thought it was all, no, you know, stuff can happen that quick in this form of racing. So I'm like, I'm not getting excited. I am excited, but I'm not getting excited because it's not over yet, you know? There's still, you know, I look at Jason's death on lap 22, you know, he was on the lead, but there's a restart, you know, that lap was a restart, so anything can happen, you know, and stuff. So it's like, I get I kept saying to everybody, I don't know, are you racing? Are you racing? I don't know if I'm racing, you know what I mean? Because it's all about, I gotta see how my emotions, how I can handle it. I don't know if I can handle it. I think I'm strong, but I don't know if I'm that strong of a person, you know? Like, you got people telling you you're the strongest person, this is cool, but I had to emotionally feel it to see if I could continue. And at this point, shit, yeah, I'm in it for the long haul. Only if Philip Dietz is beside me and my partner.
That being said, you know, you got, everybody wants to know, is this car going to continue next year?
I stayed up till 3:30 this morning. I moved out of our coach because Jason wanted some of our primary key players that believe so much in us to be part of this deal, and he wanted them, instead of having to drive to Des Moines every night and miss out on the win or lose, we drink booze, you know, because one of them had to stay at DD to drive back across with 2 kids in the car and stuff. Be responsible parents. I had lots of going to Dingus and, you know, asking, you gonna come over, this and that? I'll be over on Tuesday night for the Driven to Save Lives. But, you know, my husband wasn't so much about going party. It was our own little family circle that hang out, talk, enjoy, see where we can get better, what we need to do and stuff like that. So going back with that being said, it was like, okay, I made it from 360s, where Jason had started with the shop route, the shop car, you know, the 41 car originally, to a 410 night, what he died in. And then I'm thinking, well, this poor kid, you know, damn, this dude died in a 41. Like, to me, it's like, how do you go out there as a racer? So then I'm starting to feel for this guy, putting himself in the shoes of a 41 car, knowing that, you know, it's none of the same equipment, it's all new equipment, it's this, it's that, but it's like, you have to be a hell of a man to put that in the back of your mind, to field that car and climb in there, to accept the ride. Like, there'd be people that say no because they're not strong enough, but you are strong enough. You just proved it to all these fans and all these people out here and stuff like that. And it's like, now that Jason's, like, a lot of people are like, oh, well, you know, at first we weren't going to do a Carson shirt and stuff. And it's like, now he's like, gee, yeah, Carson, get that shirt, because these fans need a driver to cheer for. You know, Jason's not here. You're not going to take, they're not going to, you know, take, you know, and stuff like that. So anyways, with that being said, if Philip Dietz is for my partner, for the better half, for my other half, I guess my teammate, because I can't do it all on my own, that's how we're going to go. We're going to go on.